The black and white pictures you'll see in the next episode of San Diego's Historic Places are the property of the San Diego Historical Society, allowing San Diegans a glimpse into the city's past and what life was like 100 years ago. Come along and see one of San Diego's oldest neighborhoods. Burlingame is known for its historic homes and rose-colored sidewalks, nestled in North Park between 30th and 32nd Streets. The neighborhood would be known as the Tract of Character. The development began in 1912, when nearly 200 homes were built by 1929. It was considered to be the biggest building spike since the 1880s. Pictures from the San Diego Historical Society depict a different life in Burlingame during the early 1900s. They show a simple life when the first homes were built. It would be the months of December and January when nearly 40 men using mules began to grade the area to make room for the new construction. Born around the 1915 World Exposition in Balboa Park, Burlingame is an eclectic palette of architecture with styles like Mission Revival, Swiss chalets, or Craftsman. Burlingame is a neighborhood known for its character. The Benbo house was one of the first homes built in 1912. It got its nickname from its first owner, Percy Benbo, a successful merchant and once the mayor of San Diego. For Will Nevels and Judy, the home was love at first sight.
This is nothing like what I expected, but I thought I have to have this house. So we had a realtor come in and show us the house, and she teased me. She said, "You can't afford it, it needs too much work." The interior hadn't been done. But we ran some numbers and I realized she was right and it wasn't the house for me. Will was with me that day. And I said, "Will, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. I'm not going to buy the house. It would be really a sacrifice to sell my house and try to get into this. I'm not emotionally involved." And he said, "Well, I am," in a real quiet voice.
From the start, the couple knew restoring the home would be a major project, but that wouldn't keep them from their dream house.
Each time I would get to another layer of wallpaper, and it sounds silly, you think a little bit about the history. Somebody chose that. Someone put it on the wall. So it would be wallpaper, paint, and then wallpaper, and then maybe something different. So you think about the personality, and then in talking to the neighbors, we found out some of the rooms and how they were used. There was a layer of blue paint in a room. Oh, that's right, there were 4 boys, wasn't it, who lived in that room? So I really enjoyed it.
But the years wouldn't always be so kind to the Benbo house.
At some point in time, the house fell into disrepair because it became a rental property. And the previous owner had told us when he bought it, it was literally boarded up. And so it has been a tremendous restoration project. And I think that I can really appreciate the fact that this house could be saved, because from what I understand, it was pretty bad.
Will and Judy have saved the house and have also found some items from the past, like this check written on December 2nd, 1935, for $11.78 to San Diego Gas and Electric, and the original stair railings Will found in the backyard.
I happened to see these this sticking out, and I said, well, I wonder what that is. And so I brought it in, and it was in pieces, and I brought it in. The structure, the rails were pretty much intact, and so I brought it in, and it matched up perfectly with the rails, with the steps. And so I asked Wayne, the carpenter, I said, what do you think this might be? And he says, well, I don't know. He says, I'll go find out. It's a special kind of wood. So it turns out to be Filipino mahogany. So we brought it back in and actually reduced the footprint a little bit, and just went ahead and remounted it.
Like most of the house, the staircase has been restored. The second story, including the master suite, also received a major overhaul. The couple tells me they added a second bathroom, and as they began restoring the home, Will and Judy would make more discoveries from the past.
But this tub was one of the original tubs. It was in the house and basically just collecting a lot of junk. And so we cleaned it up, and we took the claw feet off and painted those, and ordered the fixtures here to go with the tub and installed it here when once we got the tile on the floor.
There's no question this home is unique. It is one of few in Burlingame that features a third story called a mirador because of the view.
It's original stairs. This was all painted white, and we didn't finish this yet, but we stripped most of the white off. And so we are still working our way up, and this whole thing was all white. All the banisters were white.
At one point, there was a large family living in the Benbo house, and it seemed every room was used.
This room is called a mirador room, and it's considered another bedroom. And I think 5 or 6 boys were living up here when the larger family was on the street. And the house next door had a similar type room, but they removed it over time, over the years.
Back downstairs in the dining room, the fireplace is nearly intact, and it faces both a dining and living room.
As far as I know, this fireplace, unlike the one on the other side, is original. I think if you look at the tile, it goes back a ways, and everyone that's come in to visit that have actually lived in the house or has some history of the house indicate that this is the way it was since the house was built.
After 2 years, Will and Judy have beautifully restored their home, and they have decorated it with pieces of furniture, lighting fixtures, and paint colors from the home's era. The couple's silverware and china have been handed down through generations, and it adds to the home's decor. Like some of the home's previous owners, Will and Judy are collecting pictures, newspaper articles, and other items they have found in the home to preserve its history for future generations. The neighborhood recently celebrated the Burlingame Historic Tour by showcasing 3 homes to the public and antique cars that belonged to Valerie Lake's father.
I just thought, well, what fun to put a few old cars in front of the houses on the tour and give more of the flavor of that 1912 to 1930 time when this neighborhood, it's mostly a pre-World War II neighborhood, came to be, and what it might have looked like in the 50s.
The pictures in the car collection give us a glimpse to the past.
We're passionate about our neighborhood, and we're passionate about maintaining a neighborhood so that our children and our grandchildren, many of these houses have 3 generations coming back. We don't want to lose that. We want to be able to let people see what can be in a neighborhood and an environment like this.
Valerie wants to preserve the neighborhood's history.
This was a vision of McFadden and Buxton, who put together a syndicate, if you will, of like businessmen, architects, builders, realtors, to design a suburban neighborhood. And we were kind of the end of the trolley line. And they made a decision to, instead of make a grid pattern, they followed the linear curves of the terrain. So that's why we have rather curved streets and blocks. They also came up with the idea of putting in the red sidewalks. So that's original to Burlingame.
This bridge over Schweitzer Canyon was built around 1910 because the area around Balboa Park was quickly expanding and there was heavy demand. It also gave birth to a neighborhood now known as Burlingame. I was surprised to hear many of the Burlingame homes have maintained their architectural design since they were built.
The homes were kind of a mixture of eclectic designs by people who wanted to try new things, get away from previous architecture, borrow from things they liked. So we have prairie homes that were inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. We have Mission Revival. We have, of course, Craftsman California bungalows with all that beautiful wood and built-ins. We have homes that are almost neoclassical and Art Deco in their design.
So has the nearby business district built around the same time. There are a number of businesses, including a pottery shop, an arts and crafts store, and more. I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood to meet some of the shop owners. I stopped by Scoop, the ice cream parlor, and got to know Krista, the owner. I asked her to tell me about her popular cupcakes.
This is a red velvet, so it's got a little bit of cocoa, and it's a very southern cake, so it's interesting. It has vinegar, and then I use a butter cream cheese frosting on the top, and I use all natural ingredients except for, of course, the red dye.
It's those ingredients and the friendly service that keep customers coming back for more. Jody and Tom Mello recently moved into the neighborhood. They wanted a special place for their daughter, Olivia. It was the sense of community and beautifully designed homes that attracted the Mellos to Burlingame.
When was the last time you've been to a neighborhood that it's had a block party going on for almost 100 years? It's really, and the participation is there.
Tom and Jody tell me they love the craftsmanship of the homes and they wanted to restore and preserve everything in their home. The front door may look like an original. It perfectly matches the home's decor. Tom and Jody went to great lengths to find the right carpenter who would create a piece that looked like it had been there from the start.
He put all the original hardware back on, which would have been here when the house was originally done. And now this door is new, but we think it really kind of exemplifies what probably would have been there to begin with in 1924.
Through the home's restoration process, Tom tells me they needed new lighting fixtures for the dining and living rooms. He describes how Jody went to great lengths until she found the right piece that would perfectly match the rest of the home.
There they had, on this light over here, they had a ceiling fan from 1975. Didn't fit. And over here they had a modern fixture, I'll put it that way, from the 80s, which also didn't fit. So my wife and her friend diligently went out and they combed the greater San Diego area for things that were period that would fit into our house, and they were able to find this light here and that light over there.
The kitchen also underwent a major transformation. Jody wanted to keep the home's architectural design with the comfort of modern conveniences. You had a lot to do with the kitchen and the design, but you also wanted to keep and preserve a lot of the history from the rest of the home. What did you do?
Well, we really wanted to make it flow with the rest of the house. So we brought in the wood floors in this whole area and into the hallway and the steps to follow through from there. And then the colors we wanted to follow through as well with the granite. The shaker door style is what was typical of that time, and so we recreated that in the cabinets.
Since living in their home on San Marcos Avenue, Jody and Tom tell me they've discovered things from the past.
It was interesting when I had the chimney repair people come out and look at it. They told me that the fire had never been lit ever. So the house was built in 1924. We bought the house in 2006, and the first fire was ever had in this fireplace in late 2006. It was probably still warm, but we had the fire anyway.
Whether it's warm or cold weather, Jody and Tom say they will continue to enjoy the fireplace, and the couple say they're always keeping their eyes open and hoping to make more discoveries. They also plan on staying in their home for many years. This two-story home looks like it did when it was built almost 100 years ago. Vance Walker was looking to invest in some property, but when he moved in, it all changed, and he decided to stay.
I nicknamed it Pleasantville because it was so wonderful here. It's great neighbors, and everybody knows everybody and calls everybody by name, and really it's very genuine here. So it's a wonderful neighborhood to live in, and I just fell in love with it.
It was the neighbors and the home's charm that convinced Vance to stay in Burlingame. As soon as he moved in, he knew he had his work cut out for him. He decided to use historical colors throughout the house.
The decor in this house was pretty much from the 60s, and it needed some serious updating. The kitchen hadn't been touched probably since the 60s as well, so it really hadn't. The older gentleman that lived here before was a World War II vet from Pearl Harbor, and he just hadn't, his wife had passed away earlier, and he just hadn't done anything with the house for many, many years.
The formal dining room is original to the home. The wood paneling and beautifully designed built-ins all were in good shape. Vance tells me the restoration process was a major project, something he thought he could do on his own. Vance, tell me about all the work that went into the house. You were telling me that it took quite a while, and talk about how long it took, and also what are some of the things that you had to redo?
Basically, almost everything in the entire house has been redone. When I first started, I started doing it myself, and then I just found myself way over my head right away. And within a year, I got a contractor, and I had him here, Ken Oldbaum here for over a year solid, just on this house, outside, inside, everything.
Like many of his neighbors, Vance has taken the extra effort to learn about the home's history.
The house was built in 1912, I believe, in August of 1912, and it, as I understand it, was built for the Expo in 1916. It was built for some dignitaries. And this particular house was designed by William Wheeler, who does a lot of the architecture here in downtown San Diego. And he designed this house as well as a couple other houses in the neighborhood. And this house, I understand, was originally for one of the dignitaries of Norway.
Once Vance moved in, he immediately tackled the kitchen, completely renovating it with all the modern conveniences and perfectly matching the rest of the house as it had been there for years. Tell me what you did with the kitchen, because when you first moved in, this really was not anything near what it is today.
It was horrid. It was, by today's standards, it was horrible. It had a drop ceiling in it and fluorescent lights, and had an island here that was just nothing really worked really well by today's standards. And so we took this room and took it all the way down to 2x4s. Everything's new, all new wiring.
Next to the kitchen, there was a maid's quarters with its own side door to the outside. It is now a laundry room.
Yeah, this used to be a maid's quarters from here back. All this was, this bathroom didn't exist here. This was a maid's quarters, and with a separate entrance for the maid, and that was from when it was originally made, because I found an article on that.
The house has all new electrical wiring, plumbing, and the plaster on the walls has been redone throughout the house. Upstairs, even the smaller details weren't overlooked.
To try to keep the house as original as possible. All the doorknobs in the house were completely torn apart and rebrassed and repolished, because they're solid brass. Repolished them, and then coated them with a clear coat so they don't tarnish, and which was much more exhaustive than just replacing them with something you could just get anything new at a hardware store. So
Vance did everything possible to bring the house to its original state.
All the wood up here, all this was originally painted. This was all painted, and so we stripped this all down to its original condition, and then just stained and varnished.
It is clearly visible Vance was attracted to the home's character and charm. There's something special about living in a historic home. There's something unique about the home. I noticed the upstairs floors were done in maple, and back downstairs, the floors are in oak.
This was maple, like I said, because it was a popular wood from Norway, as I understand, and that was for the Norwegian consulate that was here for the World Expo in 1916.
Vance says there's more work to be done on the house, a new living room floor, and reworking the basement. Throughout the last 95 years, the home's had less than a handful owners, and while the home's restoration process is not over, Vance isn't in a hurry. He's not going anywhere. In fact, he's already made long-term plans of staying in Burlingame. It would take almost 2 decades for the development of Burlingame to be completed. The well-known real estate development of Joseph McFadden and George Buxton would lead the project. It's hard to imagine, but the homes sold for $3,500. The more expensive ones for $9,500. Now, the homes easily fetch more than $1 million. Thank you for joining us for this episode of San Diego's Historic Places, Burlingame, on KPBS. By the way, we're always looking for historic places in San Diego. We welcome your ideas along with pictures. Send them to sdhistory@kpbs.org. We hope you join us next time. I'm Elsa Sevilla for KPBS.